Hello everyone and welcome back to my 3D printer series. This episode I really want to talk about the whole frame of the printer and how it's made, and I also want to have a conversation about linear rails. So before we get to that though, I have to thank each and every one of you for getting the channel to over 100 subscribers. I've honestly been doing this for a couple of years now, and I'm really happy with how far we've come from me making silly little videos in my bed to actually being able to make some more high quality projects. So hopefully we can keep it going, and I'll hopefully be able to post a bit more now that I have a proper workshop to do all these projects in. And that's about it. Thank you very much. So let's get to it. So the 3D printer is made entirely of 30-30 extrusions. Wherever there is a structural connection, I will use a metal corner, a bracket, or a screw connection. No 3D printed connections will be used on anything that's structural. So for example, these beams here are not for structural purpose, so these joints are 3D printed, but for everything else that it needs to be structural, there will be a metal corner. Like here for this cabinet here will be 3D printed corners because I don't care about how strong this is. So because I can't really, like, this is a very big frame, I can't really film myself making it. So I will cut the extrusions and I will put it together, and then we're gonna go over and see the final product and talk a bit in detail more about all the parts. Now, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna get over to cutting all the extrusions, and then we're gonna go build the frame. So let's get to it. So here we have the frame of the 3D printer, essentially the skeleton. Most of the parts here are all on here. What is missing is the rail up here, or the extrusion here, and the extrusion like for the, what's it called, for like the XY axis on both here and the back. And that's about it. Everything is connected with these little corners. You could use like proper corners like these. Like here you can see I have a hidden 30-30 corner and a 30-30 corner and an actual proper like little corner. Every structural connection is made of aluminum. We also have brackets up here, so you know, for some extra support for all the base connections here. And everything that's 3D printer is not structural. Like this here, this beam is not for structural purposes, so it doesn't matter how weak it is. And here that I'm not using aluminum corners because this is just an electronics cabinet, so I don't care how stiff this is compared to the rest of the construction. We have M5 screws on sliding T-nuts on everything. You could use drop-in T-nuts, but I got slide-ins because they were way cheaper. And we have still lots to do. We have to put on rails. We have the y-axis that needs to, the z-axis, sorry, that needs to go in, which still needs some assembly, and I'm still waiting for printing some parts. We also need the tooling to get built, and that's about it. We need to get to lubing and putting the rails in so we can start on the Y carriage now, or the XY carriage, I guess. Before we continue on with anything, we need to have a discussion about linear rails. Now, as I've mentioned before, I've decided to go with linear rails for the XY system of this printer due to their honestly superior ability to move a load with no friction. Now, they're generally a bit more expensive than what you can get from a linear bearing or from a roller with a, like you can get a V-type gantry with little wheels like the Ender 3s have and such. And all of those are fine options, but for a bit of a more of a premium printer that you want to move at high speeds, linear rails are much better. However, they are also, as I said, much more expensive. So you could go ahead and get some like Highwin or Misumi or stuff like that and spend hundreds of bucks on rails, but I didn't do that. These are Highwin knockoffs, as you can see. But there is a warning when it comes to these. Some of them might not be treated that well. One of these rails for me, when they came, it would like bind up step by step. And to fix that, I had to take the little block out of this carriage here very carefully to not lose any of the bearings. I had to take it all apart and put it all back together to realign everything for it to actually move like the way it's supposed to move, as you can see here. These are almost meant to glide on their carriage, not the carriage, sorry, the rail. And whenever you get these out the box, they will have some sort of grease on them that's meant to protect them from the factory. So you shouldn't use them as they are right here, because you're not gonna get the full thing out of them. So you need to lubricate them properly. Now, to lubricate these, you should be using either some oil or grease. I went with oil because it was honestly easier for me to get, and it's honestly less fussy. So my first option was this silicone spray oil, which I tried, and it honestly did lubricate them just fine. But what I actually found that was better, I found this here. And this here is, what is this? Sewing machine oil, which is a light oil that is used to lubricate these, and I honestly prefer it. But if you can find this is better. But there are other options, like lubricating this is a very, like, has a big discussion as a topic, so you can find lots of information on the internet. So you need to get some IPA, some alcohol, and wipe the rails down so you can clean the grease, the factory grease from them, and then slowly come and oil the carriages here, because as they go ahead and move, they will oil the rest of the rail with them. And if you ever notice your printer running a bit fussy, you could oil them again. You don't have to remove them, just put a bit of oil on the rails, and as they move, they will spread that oil on the rest of your printer. So, get them from a trustworthy source. For example, you can look on the Voron sourcing guide, and you will find an AliExpress shop that sells good known quality rails. You can look at other places. So, there is not very much limitation to where you can buy these. Just, if it obviously has some problem, like if there is too much play on the carriage, if it moves on like this direction, it shouldn't, you can't really fix it, you can throw it away. If it really has a hard time binding up, like there isn't much you can do, no amount of lubrication will fix that. So these are kind of trial and error. So if you just want to be safe and go with something that will work out of the box, just spend a bit more money, honestly, unless you get lucky or know a supplier that will sell good rails for a cheap price. You can not use rails and make a printer with the other things, and you'll be fine. But I want to have this a bit of a more premium printer, so I went with these, and higher speeds and such. So that's about it with rails. And now that we have talked about the enclosure and rails, next up I will talk about the XY system and how I'll put that together, and how I've done the belt system and such. And hopefully we'll get to talk a bit about the tool changer as well. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you will continue watching this series I have. We're very close to 100 subscribers. We may have even passed it at the point that this video is uploaded. I record these a bit in advance. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you later. Goodbye.